Hello, I'm just out for another TED walk. Teddy, say hello. It's probably my final one of these type of rambles before the end of the current season of my Life in Recovery podcast. I'm coming up to episode 100. This will be episode 95, and I'm going to take another break for a while, for a few months before I start the podcast up again. Or maybe not, actually. It might be the 100th episode, might be the last one. We'll see how I feel. I mean, last time I had a break, I really missed it. And, and it's been... it's really kept me grounded, I suppose, during the pandemic. And... I've got a lot from all the conversations that I've had over the past year or so. But with summer coming up, I'm back at work full time now, and I've got all my family commitments and got holidays planned and that kind of thing. Providing Mr. Johnson doesn't fuck things up even more and put us back into lockdown, which is always a worry looming in the background. But yeah, I'm going to take a break. So my 100th episode will be with a very special guest, providing that person sticks to the agreement. I can't really say much more than that at this moment in time, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that conversation. And yeah, I just wanted to kind of have one of these rambles just to fill in a few gaps, I think, really, because I've never fully explained certain things that have happened with the podcast. If you've been following the podcast over the last couple of years, you'll notice that I've gone through a few different phases in terms of like the logo for the podcast, the advertisement on the podcast, the theme music and that kind of stuff. And I suppose just to explain that, really, initially I set up a Patreon page. I had a few Patreon subscribers who were sending me money to fund things like the uploading of the podcast to the website host and that kind of thing. But I suppose it didn't really sit that well with me, if I'm honest, taking money off people. I mean, the idea of this, I suppose, even though it cost me a little bit of money, was to do it all for free and to spread the message of recovery without kind of receiving any payment for it or anything like that. I was listening to other podcasts at the time and kind of thought that it might be a good idea to monetize the podcast. So I also had people paying me for advertisement on the podcast as well. And again, it didn't really kind of sit well with me, if I'm honest, after I'd done it for a while. And I just thought, I just want to keep it simple, like as we do in recovery. I just want to keep it really simple. I didn't want to have massive intros to the podcasts either. Like, I think that pretty much everything that's going on in my life and the people that I'm interviewing gets said in the podcast itself. So basically the podcast does now consists of a very quick intro just to say who I'm interviewing. We get straight into the podcast, and I have an hour to an hour and a half conversation usually. There's no advertisements, and then it ends with links to the website and any other helpful websites, like the mutual aid link. That it says that there's links to mutual aid websites underneath the podcast link, which is exactly how I want it to be. The podcast has changed in colour to match the podcast logo, has changed in colour to match my website. So everything has got the kind of like orange, dark blue and white color scheme, which is just a personal preference. I just love those colors, and it's nice and vibrant, and I think it sums up the vibe that I'm trying to portray on the podcast, which is one of like energy and vibrancy and positivity. On a personal note, in terms of like the last kind of 6 months or so during the pandemic, I mean, I've been working from home the majority of the time, but now I've started to go into the office a lot more, and I think life just feels as though it's getting much busier. I've got lots of support from my family. My parents look after my daughter 3 days a week, and she goes to nursery 1 day a week, and my soon-to-be mother-in-law looks after her 1 day a week as well. So we're very blessed in that sense that our daughter's got plenty of love, plenty of people looking after her. But now I've got to factor in the commute, to and from work a few days a week, which is kind of increasing more and more. And I have, my meetings to consider as well. I've got my recovery meetings that I go to. Although, as I've spoken about on the podcast quite a bit, I've joined a new fellowship, Emotions Anonymous, which I currently do 2 Zoom meetings a week. And I'm just getting massive benefits from being in that fellowship and from the work that I've done with a sponsor. I've gone through the 12 steps again with a new sponsor in that fellowship, and it's massively helped me. I was finding that during the pandemic, and especially as I was kind of moving back towards a bit more of normality and driving a lot, I was finding that I was still quite angry. A lot of, I wouldn't say like major road rage or anything like that, but quite a bit of anger coming out when I was driving. I think a lot of the disappointment of things that haven't happened during the pandemic, like my wedding got cancelled, family holidays got cancelled. I was supposed to be going on a massive family holiday this year to Mexico, and I was also going to be meeting up with Dennis Berry, my life coach, out there in Mexico because he's moving there, and that we've had to cancel that because there's absolutely no chance that it's going to be on the green list. So we've changed that to Gran Canaria, but we don't even know if that's going to go ahead. So there's just, I suppose, there's a lot of disappointment bubbling under the surface, which I suppose I haven't dealt with as well as I might have hoped that I would, and I recognised that that I kind of needed. I think I just needed to like revisit the steps and to get into just do some more. I just needed, like, I could see that there was more work to be done. So I started working with a new sponsor in EA, and went through the steps quickly but thoroughly. Had a really awesome new take from my new sponsor on the 4th and 5th step. I was really looking, well, the fifth to the 7th step really, because we were looking more at the causes and conditions of resentments, and looking into the defects of character, as they call it in recovery, and learning about like the opposites of my defects. I've got flies all over me here. And how to work towards the opposite. Like, as an example, the opposite of resentment is contentment. So in order for you to get to that place of contentment, there has to be forgiveness as the bridge, obviously. But it's about thinking, like when I've got a resentment and I'm kind of feeling that anger towards another person, it's acknowledging that contentment is where I want to get to, and how do I get to contentment? That's just kind of one example. So So that's been great work. Also, I mean, I got back into my music, as I think I've shared quite a few times on the podcast. I used to be a DJ for years and producing music with producers. I've never been a music producer. I've always been the person that's kind of sat next to the music producer and kind of helped and guided them to make the music that I wanted to make and that they wanted to make as a collaboration. But I decided that all the spare time that I was having during the pandemic was a good opportunity to learn to write music myself. So I bought initially it started off where I bought a set of decks, converted my garage into a DJ booth, and enjoyed a few months just kind of like reliving my youth really, and enjoying playing a load of old and new music and creating mixes, and and it was nice. It was a nice thing to do, but I quickly realised that I didn't really want to get back into DJing in any great way. But I did quite fancy the idea of producing music myself, and I had this kind of grand idea that I wanted to create an album and get it released and stuff. And so I bought a load of music production equipment and started to teach myself, learn through online YouTube tutorials, etc., how to create music. And what I found was, although enjoyable, it quickly, like with everything that I find enjoyable, became an obsession. And we were laughing and joking about it on the last podcast with Arlene or Alan and Dennis Berry. It became an obsession, and as is always the way with me, I can't just do anything for fun. So immediately I wanted to kind of get my music signed by I've got friends that still run quite major record labels, and I was like sending my music out when it was kind of half finished, and just craziness really. Just gone back into that insanity of wanting a quick fix, like wanting something to kind of make me feel better, because things might be a little bit shit at the moment, because things aren't going my way. It's like that same old addictive behaviour. Unfortunately, I kind of did catch it really. I caught it, and I just thought to myself, you know what, I can't really do this. I can't do this to myself again, and to the people around me as well, because the people around me suffer because I'm obsessed with whatever it is I'm doing. Like I'm constantly doing the music, and constantly like I'm not present because I'm thinking about doing that rather than doing what I'm actually doing in that present moment. So I just made a decision that I had to stop doing it really. So I sold my decks, and I've still got the music production equipment, and I am trying to find a bit of moderation with it at the moment. I'm trying, like, whenever Adele or the kids are whenever the kids and Adele are kind of busy and they're doing their own thing, if I've got a spare half an hour to an hour here or there, I don't really see any major problem with me getting out the music production kit and having a bit of a jam, but just for fun, rather than me thinking like I'm gonna make a track that's gonna get signed, by a label, or like really trying to just make something like worthy of the praise of my peers really. I think what I've kind of accepted is that I'm pretty rubbish at it at the moment, because I've only just started, and I haven't got the capabilities at the minute to be able to produce something of any like note. So, and that's okay, like just accepting it basically, just accepting that what I'm producing at the moment is just for fun. It's like, just enjoy the process of it, and don't feel like I've got to be great at it. And we were talking about this on the podcast as well with Dennis and Arlene, that it's okay to fail. I always used to think that, you know, I can't, like, you can't, if I'm going to fail at something, there's no point in even trying. And I always used to think that if I do fail at it, then that's like the worst thing in the world, you know, especially if you fail in front of other people. Like, that's like really embarrassing, and shameful. And actually it's not, because everybody has to fail at things in order to get better, and everybody has to fail at things in order to figure out what it is that they actually want to do, like with their lives, you know. So, you know, that's it's been like a good period of learning, really. You know, there's been a lot of things that have there's been a lot of learning that's happened over the pandemic. This is the thing as well. I think the thing about this kind of situation that we've all found ourselves in, although it has without a shadow of a doubt been a shit situation, and there has been loads of disappointment, and for some obviously it's been miles worse than for others. You know, if anybody's experienced death as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, and in the ways in which it's happened in the hospitals, and not being able to go to funerals and all that kind of stuff, I mean, that's pretty goddamn harrowing and traumatic. So I haven't experienced anything like that. All I've experienced is the disappointment, like I said, of things getting cancelled, and, you know, having almost feeling like you're putting your life on hold. But actually, when I look back over the last year, 18 months, I've learnt loads, you know, and I've learnt loads about myself. I've learnt loads about what kind of makes me tick, what's good for me, what's not good for me. I mean, my ever ongoing battle with sugar came to a head recently, and not in any kind of dramatic fashion, really. And, you know, believe it or not, I haven't actually said, that's it, I'm never eating sugar ever again. What I've recognised is that, for me, I just need to eat healthily. Like, I have the capacity and the ability, when I plan correctly and when I have a goal, so, you know, like a goal of losing weight or a goal of just getting fit or whatever that may be, I do have the capacity to plan and to stick to what I've set myself. So, like, at the moment, as an example, I'm having a smoothie in the morning for my breakfast. Absolutely love my new smoothie machine that my sponsee and good friend Pete bought for me, which was a wonderful little present. So I have a smoothie every morning. I don't eat again until lunchtime, and I usually have something light, maybe a bowl of cereal or scrambled eggs on toast, something like that. And then I try not to eat again. If I do have anything in the afternoon, it's usually kind of like a protein shake, something along those lines. And then in the evenings for my meal, I have whatever. Usually Adele does the cooking whilst I'm bathing the baby, so I have whatever is put on my plate. And 9 times out of 10, it's a healthy meal, something along the lines of either meat and salad, or prawns and salad and a little bit of pasta, something along those lines. And then again, I try not to eat again until the morning. So, you know, I've cut out completely all the snacking, chocolate. Every now and then I have like an ice lolly or something like that, but I'm not eating ice cream, not eating chocolate. At the weekend, I kind of lapsed a little bit and had a big bag of crisps when I was on my walk with my daughter, which is essentially like an old habit, really. I always used to do that, but I'm not beating myself up over it either. You know, it's I am progressively getting better as time goes by. You know, I'm learning. Unfortunately, I don't learn from my mistakes straight away. That is a pattern of mine, but I am kind of beginning to accept now that this has to be a way of life for me. You know, I can't just pick and choose what I eat. I have to have a kind of set routine and be disciplined when it comes to the food that I eat, in order for me to maintain a healthy weight and to feel healthy within myself as well. I mean, I feel, since I came back, went away for a holiday, family holiday, to Cornwall, and I just ate whatever I wanted when I was there. And by the time I came back, I was a stone and a half over my kind of what I would class as my fighting weight, and felt just terrible. Just felt bloated, awful, heavy, ugly, just not how you want to feel. And I said, right, enough's enough. And since then, which was a couple of weeks ago, this is what I've been doing. I've been holding myself responsible for being healthy. And I genuinely don't think this is anything that the people out there that are healthy aren't doing. The people who I'm friends with and people who I'm not friends with that I watch from afar, who are a healthy weight and who just eat like a balanced diet. This is what they do. They have a routine and they are disciplined and they just stick to it and they don't really waver. And then it might be that 5 days a week they eat healthily, and then 2 days a week they eat whatever they want. Whatever their program is completely up to them. But all I know is that I have to do something similar. That's kind of where I've come to. And it needs to be a way of life. It's not just, I'm just doing this so I can get fit for my holiday. It has to be a way of life, like my 12-step program is for a daily reprieve from alcoholism. So that's been great learning as well. What else has been going on? What else has been happening? Oh yeah, my book. I've nearly finished. So finished? Oh well, at the beginning of the pandemic, I started a life coaching certification, and that took me about 3 months of online learning to get my certification, and I've since started offering my services to people, and during that initial phase of kind of like easing into offering some life coaching sessions to people, I thought I'd like to write a book which consolidates everything that I've learned and which I can actually give to my clients to help them understand exactly what it is that we're working towards. Because I like to have things explained to me, like why is it that I'm doing this, and and what is going to be the outcome, what am I going to achieve. So so I've started writing this book, and it's almost, the first draft is almost finished. It's called 7 Steps to Success, and it is obviously broken down into 7 steps. The first one being to make a decision. The second one is to take action. The third step is to make a commitment. The fourth step is to analyse yourself. The fifth step is to implement the change. The sixth step is to be of service. And the seventh step is to become a mentor yourself. And obviously I go into real detail as to how each step leads into the next. And yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. I'm enjoying writing it, and now I've put the music on the back burner. I've got more time to dedicate to that, so I try and do like half an hour to an hour writing each day. And it's getting there. It's pretty much kind of like the bare bones of it's done, so I need to just keep kind of go through it now and finish it off and then edit it. And I would imagine that I'm probably going to have it finished by, I'd say, September time. It's June now, so yeah, I reckon like a couple of months and it'll be done. And then I'm going to kind of focus a lot more on the life coaching side of things. I am going to be marketing myself a bit more and putting more effort into getting more clients. I'm working with a couple of people at the moment, and that's going well. And again, another reason why I kind of want to put the podcast on hold for a little bit, just whilst I concentrate on kind of this new venture. And also, just to kind of finish this ramble before I take young Teddy home, one of the things that I learned through my work with Dennis, my life coach, was that one thing that I don't do very well is relax. My AA sponsor always says to me, take it easy. That's kind of like his message is to me, is take it easy. And and he always like comments on how much like I'm always doing stuff and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And what I recognized through the work that I did with Dennis is that if I put my mind to something, I will do it. I'll go 100%. I'll get it done, and and I can focus on it. But what can happen is that other things can kind of fall by the wayside, and and as I've mentioned earlier, family can suffer if I'm concentrating solely on getting a book finished, for example. So what I've tried to do, and what my kind of aim in life is, I suppose, from this point onwards, is to moderate. And I know that people that are addicts and alcoholics, which is the same thing, by the way, an addict and an alcoholic are the same thing. An alcoholic is just a person using the drug alcohol. So basically, addicts find it very, very difficult to moderate, and I think some, in fact most, would think that it's impossible. But I don't believe that. I believe that you can actually learn to moderate. I believe that as time goes by, you can, as you become progressively more emotionally intelligent and able to manage your emotions and therefore manage your own mental health, you can actually learn to moderate. That doesn't mean to say that I think that you can moderate alcohol, by the way, or heroin or crack cocaine for that matter. I think those drugs are just way too powerful for your brain to be able to, for you to be able to fight with your brain's dopamine reward system. I think that once you've crossed the line as into a drug addict, there's no point in ever trying to moderate with drugs. But when it comes to things like exercise, sex, work, behaviours that don't have the same level of dopamine hit, I do believe that you can moderate those things. So that's what I'm up to these days. I do quite a lot of resting. You can, if you were a fly on the wall, you might see me just chilling out in my garden, no music on, I'm away from the TV. I've not got my phone in my hand. I'm just relaxing in the sunshine. I walk my dog, again, without any kind of social media or music or anything like that in my ears. And I just try to chill out, basically, as much as I possibly can. If you look at the Aboriginal people around the world, you'll see them doing a lot of chilling out. That is what they do. That is what they do best. They go out hunting, they build a few things, and then they all chill and they sit around campfires talking and snoozing. And there's a reason for that. That is how we are supposed to be. What do we all do as soon as the sun comes out? We all flock to the parks. We all flock together and sit in circles and chill out and have fun, and and that is what I want from my life. I don't have any major ambitions anymore. I don't have any desire to be somebody. I'm just kind of plodding along, really, and doing my thing. And if people like what I've got to say, then wonderful. And if people don't like what I've got to say, that's also fine as well. I do talk a lot of shit. So not everybody's going to like what I've got to say, that's for sure. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there. So peace and love, and goodbye for now.